Forever. Dog.
Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Very That with Delta and Raja. It is December. This is the second week of December. We are going strong, holiday strong. And Raja, you are fully immersed in it because you put your tree up and I'm so happy.
Thanks. I knew you would be happy. You were the first person I text messaged when I set up the tree. I did say that I had a tinsel tree, but you know what? Hold on. My nose is snotty. Hold on.
Oh, Pat, you're a snot. Well, because she's a snot. She's a snot. She's a snot rot. Do you ever blow up like a farmer, they call it a farmer, what is it, a farmer booger, where you like push on one side, you just blow it out? You ever do that?
Ew!
You've never done that? That's like a farmer thing. Like
No.
Yes, it is.
I
know farmers.
I had an ex-boyfriend who was not a farmer, and he used to do that. Vadim, he used to do that.
Yeah, he did do that?
Yeah, he was very bad.
Did he blow it like that in your hole and then fuck your
he did
hole?
it in my mouth. He did it in my mouth.
Boogers.
So yeah, I did. I put up my tree. I was very inspired by our multiple conversations on Christmas, and I did say that I have a fuck these parrots. There's parrots in California. Did anybody know that? There's actual parrots.
Those are partridges in your pear tree.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
Ooh. Oh, yeah.
Ow!
Ay, wait.
Very that.
She's so bad.
Oh, honey.
But why is she so very bad?
Very that. Very that.
Okay, so anyway, I said earlier that I had a tinsel tree, but I decorate so rarely for Christmas that I forgot that I'd thrown away that tinsel tree. So in my mind, I still had this pink tinsel tree that was all ready to go, but instead, in storage, I found this one, which I bought like 2 years ago, which is a really nice one because it's really tall and thin and it fits into corners. So.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and you know what? To be honest, most of these are from 99 only.
Yeah, I tell you, it's my favorite. It's my favorite.
There's a lot of 99 only.
Well, I honestly, when you look at that, you see how expensive it looks because it's as long as you know how to use the pieces and then, accent with other stuff, no one ever, and that's styling clothes. That's, you're so good at styling people. Like that's something I had to kind of learn is how to style myself. And by no means do I like to wear high fashion or understand high fashion. I don't ever say that. But you're somebody that can look at something and then just style it in such a way, and that can show in a Christmas tree even, and you can see it there.
Sure. There's this TV series on Netflix because what else do I do but watch fucking Netflix all day long? But there's this one guy called Mr. Christmas.
Okay.
You watch this guy? And
I've not seen.
You'll like this because he decorates people's houses. He goes into people's homes and he decorates their homes for Christmas.
Oh, what a dream job.
And he gives you little tips and tricks on how to decorate your tree. And one of the things that I've definitely agreed with him and I've always used in my lifetime decorating Christmas trees is the draping of the beads and garland.
Mm-hmm.
They should
Beautiful.
drape. They should drape, I remember as a kid when watching people decorate their Christmas trees, they would wrap the fucking beads and things so tight around it that it kind of like cinched it into a corset. But like you have to let it drape. It has to feel like an overuse of accessories and jewelry. Sure. And my tree theme isn't really themed as much as it is kind of themed. It has a celestial theme to it. At the very top, I have a pentagram as a star, of course. And then there's a sun and a moon on it. So it's got a very kind of, celestial. It reminds me of the sky. It reminds me of, it's a Yule tree, in other words.
So you worship the devil is what you're saying. And satanic panic is what's going on here. That's fine. That's fine. I love all people.
Happy birthday, Satan.
Happy Satan Day or whatever you want to do. Just don't bring it around me or my kids. And that's fine. But I love you anyway. And you love me anyway. No, I love it. I love it. And I mean, I think it's right. By the way, I was looking at your curtain. I'd never noticed that, that beautiful, sort of fringy.
It's actually Mexican. It's a very traditional kind of thing where they use sort of a macrame theme. And every time I go to Mexico, I'm always picking up something. I got fucking pillows.
That's beautiful.
I just love colors. I love colors. More and more and more and more colors, please.
I love that.
But
I love that.
Since I put my tree up, it's actually been really nice to kind of, it puts you in a good mood.
It does.
Right? Just like a lot of things in my apartment. I've got a lot of little objects and things, but it just kind of added that little thing where I was like, "Aw, look at that. Look at that sparkly thing in the corner."
Now, do you think because some people have a theory that, when I put my Christmas tree up early, always so early, people are like, "Oh, it's so early. Why can't you celebrate Thanksgiving first?" And then as soon as like Christmas Day, there's some people that are like, the tree comes down. And I come from that philosophy that I like to see for me, I like to see the tree up for Thanksgiving dinner because I feel like that's the beginning of the holiday, and I like to keep it up after, at least see it the week of the new year, because I feel like it's still part of. You don't get to see everyone exactly on Christmas or exactly on Thanksgiving, or so. Is there a time when you're going to take it down where you feel like it needs to come down from your home? Is there a date, or did your family ever do a date?
As a kid, I always loved, I loved decorations so much that I wanted it all year round. I wanted to see the sparkles forever and ever. But I think I'm just going to take it down probably January 3rd.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
January
fair.
3rd, because then the holidays is all over. New Year's Eve is done. Let's get the year moving along. Put this shit away. Do some actual spring cleaning. But that's one of my traditions that I've actually started in my adult life, is that around this time in December is when I start my spring cleaning. I have a superstition before New Year's Eve to make sure that all my laundry is done.
I never heard that.
That the house is clean. And I like to go into January 1st with a very, mostly tidy / spick and span, just kind of everything ready to go for the new year. And so right now I have bags and bags of stuff that I'm just throwing out. Lots of old crappy makeup starts to get really weird and stinky, like old lipsticks and stuff. Just going through every single nook and cranny of my place and just throwing shit out, getting things ready to be brought to thrift shops or to donate to friends. Lots of drag droppings will be given to the children. So that's one of my traditions. Anyway.
I love that. So is that so that's a superstition, but is that part of a did that begin in like a New Year's resolution, or do you do ever New Year's resolution kind of thing?
I'm not a resolution person. I think I have a resolution every day, but I never actually follow through with a lot of them. But I do try to make a resolution, not usually on New Year's Eve though. I developed this habit of cleaning everything from an old roommate of mine who used to do that, and he would also make a pot of black-eyed peas and collard greens for New Year's Eve. So I don't know how to make. I can make collard greens, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to find a recipe for black-eyed peas. But it's just a tradition, a superstition, a thing. Right. Just go into the new year with a clean house.
Right.
Can I get an amen?
I've got my health. I've got my strength. I'm in my right mind at all times.
All times?
I like that. I can't really do a resolution just because, real talk, I'm a flibberty gibbet. You know what I mean? My mind is like, oh, I'm over here.
No, I don't know what that means. What is a flibberty gibbet?
Just all over the place. Just in my mind, I'm like, my personality. Like I'll just like in a conversation, I'll kind of zone out, and then we'll get to it, and I'll be talking about. You get it. People are listening to this, and they know. Like I'll get so verbose about the stupidest shit, and it's like, why are you talking about that? Like right now. Why can't you just say what flibberty gibbet is? Why do I have to tell you 500 definitions of it? Like, why is that my personality?
I just want to make sure it's not racist. So
no.
Speaking of the holidays, the McRib is back. Did you know this? At McDonald's, the McRib is back. And
I'm not a fan of that, but go ahead.
What is a McRib? First of all, it is the weirdest thing, but delicious. I worked at McDonald's as a kid, and I remember my parents really loved it when the McRib came out. And every time I came home from work, I would have to bring them each a McRib, and it was a pork-based meat, I suppose.
Based.
That is put into a mold that looks like a small rack of lamb. Vomitous but delicious.
Okay. Well, I know I've had one before in my life, and I know what the sauce tastes like, so I'm a fan of that type of a sauce. But I just feel like more often than not, somewhere in the beginning or the finish of that, you bite into a knuckle of sorts. There's something in there. I don't know if it's gristle. I don't know if it's snout. I don't know what it is. But when I hit that knuckle, it really is a testimony, and it's evidence to me that says, you know how you always say to yourself, God, I wish I was diligent enough to be a vegan. This is it. You bite into it and you go, oh, listen, you're eating animal. That's a live thing. And it tells me that every time. And of course, I don't have the patience or the diligence, but maybe I should just have a McRib around all the time. And I guarantee you, I would be the thinnest woman and so healthy and so... that's what I need to do. I need to go on a diet of McRibs. That way I don't fucking eat any meat.
You see, you see something. I was raised in a third world country, and in the Indonesian culture, we are not squeamish people when it comes to gristle or knuckle.
Okay.
You've seen me eat chicken wings.
Yeah.
And I will stick the whole fucking chicken wing into my mouth, and within seconds, I will pull it out, and there will be nothing left but a dry bone of chicken that's ready. Yeah. It's a fossil, essentially, is what comes out of my mouth. I pull out a fossil, and I can reconstruct it and put the whole chicken back together and place it in the museum put it in the Museum of Natural History. I'm not lying. You've seen me do it. I am not scared of it. I will crunch down on the gristle.
I admire it, and I understand. And I'm one time my mom said that to me, because I was like, how do you eat chicken bones like that? And my mom was also she was not raised with a lot of money. And I wasn't either, but my mom was in a different position because she also had siblings. And she said, when you don't have a lot, you have to maximize it. So if you imagine a whole chicken for, 8 people or whatever, you're only going to get a little bit. And she's like, you just have to learn how to clean it up. You know what I mean? And so she said, I'm glad that you don't know how to do that, because you never had to do that.
That's wild.
And I thought, wow.
You know what? I grew up knowing that protein is protein, and you have stuck some protein in your mouth, some disgusting ass shit. So don't try it with me, getting all grossed out over knuckle and gristle. I mean, your tongue has been in an ass and dick in the throat, and I know your throat capabilities. You've told me. I haven't seen them personally or experienced it, but I know you've stuck some gross gristle in your throat. So
I like to suck them bones. I like to suck them bones.
I can chew on the bone and suck out the marrow too. I'm gross. I am gross. But it is what it is. So
well, I guess it is what it is. But I'm not going to eat the McRib. I'm not going to eat the McRib. But I do look forward to like the Shamrock Shake around March. They like to bring that out. And by the way, the pumpkin pie shake at Jack in the Box should already be out, and it's not out. And they used to do that.
I didn't even know they had that.
Well, there you go. I mean, when the McRib is coming out, because you like protein, and I know when flavored milkshakes are coming out, because I consume too much sugar. So this is,
God, you are an expert at you're an expert at drive-throughs, and you have so many stories. You could actually write your personal memoirs or a vlog or a blog on just drive-through experiences.
I feel like I should, and I feel like all of that for me, I think we talked about this before, centers in customer service, because I spent so much of my life, and so did you, providing customer service. So we know what it's like to work in I would say higher end retail and boutique as well. And we know that like you just don't snap at a customer and and I'm not saying the customer is always right because we've talked about that before. The customer is not always right.
No, ma'am.
But as someone who knows how to give good customer service, we're able to look back and go, okay, I'm in a drive-through. I get it. This is a kid. They're doing the best that they can. But sometimes, I lose my mind when I'm like, wait a minute, you are purposely just being a dick. You're purposely being a dick, and you're purposely like making me ask for a fork to eat a salad with, as if that's, I don't know. I've gone into that way too much in my life, but I should put it in a book. We can talk about it when we come back from this little break with Very That.
And we're back. You're listening to Very That with Delta and Raja. And we have a very, very special announcement for you because today is the 14th. And on the 16th of December, we're going to be releasing our very, very special Mom Holiday Special episode. It includes all of the Mom podcast people, including Meatball and Dipper, Alaska and Willem, of course, and myself and Delta, and Manila and Latrice. And so it'll be a nice little special of all of us kind of getting together in a socially distanced environment, talking about Christmas and just sharing and talking. And it should be a lot of fucking fun. So be sure to tune in, find out where to find out where to watch it and to listen and all of that. And it's on December 16th. Do not forget the Mom Holiday Special episode.
And the best part is, if you have Forever Dog Plus, you get to hear the holiday special the day before on December 15th.
Wow. How about that?
You should have Forever Dog Plus so you get these little treats, Christmas treats.
And subscribe to Very That. Yes. All right.
Subscribe and rate.
All right. So now we're gonna get this is what one of our favorite parts. It's become one of our favorite parts is going through the anals.
Yeah, that is. I've never been afraid of that at all, and now that we're able to do it publicly is even more exciting for me. And I want to read you the first one. This is from John. Hello, I'm an avid listener and huge fan of both of you from Drag Race Season 3. As a millennial, I've had to delve into 80s culture of my own volition, and I love that Delta's name is a parody of the fabulous Delta Burke from Designing Women. In that vein, my question is, what are some of your favorite 80s television shows that you remember watching? And have you gotten the chance to meet any of your idols from the 80s? Always so happy to listen and see something. Thanks, John.
Oh my goodness. Now, wait, tell me again what a millennial is. What exactly makes a millennial? Is it a certain, it's years, right?
I want to say it's somebody who, we are Generation X.
We're Generation, yeah.
So I want to say it's like somebody in their like early 20s, maybe.
Okay.
Is that right? Somebody who like
mid-20s, mid-20s?
We are old enough to be their parent. We'll say that.
Okay,
for sure.
There you go.
Easily.
See something? Yeah, there you go. But anyway, the conversation here is about 80s culture and favorite 80s television shows. All of the shows in the 80s are my favorite. I think I watched every single one. One that I watched religiously, constantly, always was The Facts of Life.
Yes.
Tootie, Blair, Joe, Natalie, Mrs. Garrett, I
Cousin
love
Jerry,
that show.
hilarious.
Cousin Jerry, hilarious. Very groundbreaking, actually, for the time to have somebody who was, if you don't know who Cousin Jerry is, just watch old episodes. But she had, I believe, was it cerebral palsy or something like that? Yep. Yeah, but that was a hilarious show. It was the first introduction of George Clooney, who played a character named George, I believe, on the show, who was kind of their handyman towards the later ones. I loved Webster. I loved Webster. I especially loved it when Webster moved into the old house and he was able to like appear and disappear into the grandfather clock. Do you remember that part?
Yes.
I loved. There's so many. I mean, it kind of caught me off guard. I mean, I could list.
I know
so many because the 80s was really about television, and there was no internet, so we really sat down and watched the shows, the sitcoms, and yeah.
Well, you'd have to wait. I mean, you saw an episode, and then to see the next one, you had to wait till the next week. It wasn't like you could just like watch something all the way through and go, "Oh, I binged it." You couldn't do that. I thought it was
No.
interesting about Facts of Life is that you got to see these preteens or tweens grow up and go into college and stayed with the same sort of core. They stayed with the people that they came in with, and they ended up working at Mrs. Garrett's store, which was eventually called Edna's Edibles.
Yes,
and it was a bakery.
I need to create my own edibles called Edna's Edibles.
And it had nothing to do with marijuana, but it's fun to see that because you can see that like her holding that sign and people make memes and stuff out of it. But yeah, it was a groundbreaking show and talked about many subjects, including sexual assault, special needs people, racism, a lot of different things. But as far as shows that I used to love to watch Knight Rider.
Oh,
I watched Simon and Simon. That's a very specific one. So some people out there will know what that is. Love Boat. If I was lucky, I got to stay up and watch Fantasy Island.
Fantasy Island. Recently, I just went to the LA Arboretum. If anyone ever wants to see a piece of movie memorabilia or a movie moment or a set, go to the LA Arboretum, and it is where they filmed the opening sequence of Fantasy Island, all the way from the airplane that comes into the lagoon. It's actually not a lagoon. It's like a large lake, and the house is there. And Fantasy Island was the best. Bitch.
So good,
I loved it.
So good, right?
There was so many.
But it's interesting because John also asks, have we ever met any of our idols from the 80s? And we both have been very, very lucky to have met some of our extreme idols. I know who Raja's going to talk about, somebody that she's became very friendly with. I did have the chance to meet Delta Burke and took a picture with her. Yeah, so when the whole Emmys thing was happening, we got to go to a bunch of different events leading up to it. So they were events for Emmy nominees, and she was there with her husband Gerald McRaney, who is from Simon and Simon, and he was in the show This Is Us. And they were there, and I was with some people from World of Wonder, and Ross Matthews was there, and Theron, who we've worked with before. Theron said, "Look, there's Delta Burke," and he was like, "We're gonna get a picture." And if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have gotten the picture, because he was like, "Let's just go up and ask." And so got that picture with her. And
was she nice, or was she
was super nice, just little, short, small. She has a little bob, and but she
I always thought she was kind of taller.
No, just petite, just a short. I mean, maybe 5'3" I think.
Oh, wow.
Didn't seem, maybe I just in my mind, because I was in drag and tall and had all this stuff on. But also, of course, legendary, twice in a row, I managed to meet Vanessa Williams, who we know both of us are just. God. And obviously, she was a judge on our season, but then when I was working on Drag Race behind the scenes, she was there, and I was literally. I made a fool of myself. I was in tears, and she was so calm, and she was kneeled down, and like. She was literally kneeling down and like holding my hand and talking to me. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." And I was telling her about like how we always, what's the song that we always listen to? Lies when you wanna, hanging around when you wanna.
Comfort zone.
Running back to you.
Running back to you.
Yeah, you can't just diss me when you wanna. Come and go when you wanna.
When you wanna.
Hang around, you wanna. When lies, when you wanna. And so she just got it, and I know you also. Lies, you wanna. But you have a great story about who you got to meet.
Well, most of the people that I've met from the 80s that were my heroes and people that I love are music people. Not so much, I wouldn't say so much in the TV world as much as music. I've met Madonna, I've met Cher, I've met Tiffany. I've met Debbie Gibson. I know the entire Go-Go's.
Right.
So most of my idols that I got to meet from the 80s are music people and also some models, supermodels.
Mm-hmm. Well, you became friends with them.
A good friend of mine, Paulina Poroskova, was a huge model in the 80s. I stayed at their house with Rick Ocasek, who recently passed away, who's the lead singer of the Cars. So music people, I've definitely got to meet so many of my idols and heroes.
But do you remember when we had to take the crinolines to Peanuts?
Oh my God, are you
to
kidding me?
To get the crinoline signed?
Jody Watley. I met Jody Watley, and when I was in the 7th grade, Jody Watley was her first album was my first cassette that I ever had. My parents bought me a boombox, and my good friend Lavella, who was my best friend, she knew how much I loved Jody Watley, and I was obsessed. I just wanted to have the large hoop earrings and the crinoline, and I actually had Jody Watley sign a red crinoline for me.
I remember this.
I still have it somewhere in my piles. Yes. But the 80s was wonderful. And as a millennial, you know what? I'm glad that you're doing the research because, when I was a young person, I was doing the research of all the things that was happening before me. You know, I studied all the different old movies and the different old, I learned about Joan Crawford and Betty Davis and Marilyn Monroe. And those people certainly weren't of my time, but I really commend, who is this, John, for doing the research and finding and having that curiosity about a time that, was way, way, way before you. So, all right. Next we have did you want to add anything to that, Delta?
No, I'm so with you, and I think it is important that he is investigating all these things because then you learn, you can learn more about not just music but fashion and reference points that can be so specific. When we talk about things that are referential, it might not always be the whole movie. It could be a scene in a movie where we go, "Ooh, I'm feeling this way," and you're like, "Well, describe it to me," and you're like when she walks into the bar and you're like, "Oh, you're her. I get you." And you can find that stuff in the 80s, in the 40s, in the 30s, or today. Millennials are doing that too. And they're teaching us that too. So I'm so glad, John. I'm so glad.
You know who I did meet? Not a TV star, but many years ago, I did makeup at the Chateau Marmont. And I did Molly Ringwald.
Oh, I would die.
Yeah, I know you would because she was the star of the 80s and I got to do her makeup. Obviously, it was decades later and she was older and now she's a very accomplished jazz singer and still quite beautiful. Very, 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 very sweet. So shout out to Molly Ringwald. I hope she's listening.
I'm so gagged. I'm so gagged.
I met Molly Ringwald and I gagged. I was like, oh my God. Okay, so we have another letter here.
Okay.
Let's get to this. This is from Semaj, I believe it's pronounced. Hello, Delta and Raja. First of all, I want to say I love both of you. My first ever leap into drag/gay culture was while watching Logo movies and Drag Race reruns on Logo on mute on my TV, late at night on mute. Now that I'm older, I've educated myself and did my herstory. Your voices are so animated, I listen to you while driving and working. Cool. My family is very religious. My parents are high-ranked in a prominent Baptist church in Philadelphia. Ever since I've been little, they have put me in conversion therapy.
Oh, Jesus.
And church my whole life. Wow, this is loaded. Now that I'm in my early 20s and out on my own, I still feel like I can't be who I want to be. For example, I was wearing glitter nail polish and my mom wouldn't get off my back about it, but I played it off and said it was paint. I hide my heels and fabulous wardrobe for fear of disappointing and letting my little brothers/family down. I'm 25 now, and I've been out of the house for almost 6 years, but I still feel like I can't be who I want to be. I feel like my parents will love me regardless because I truly love them, but I long to be a gritty punk rock out and proud rebel, pounding the pavements and making this world my own, a personal runway. I can't hold in my glitter anymore. What should I do?
This is definitely something that you're familiar with in the sense that you do come from a very religious family.
Yes.
And I think people would like to hear about that.
Yeah, and I think all of this is really quite relatable. Although I did not grow up in a Baptist church in particular, I did grow up in a pretty religious family. And I think my parents mostly were very concerned because I was one of those kids who was unstoppable. I just did it. I just was like, oh, you know what? I can't dye my hair pink. I'm just gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna do it late at night while y'all are sleeping. I'm gonna put some sun in my hair and throw a blow dryer in it and try to throw some pink Kool-Aid in it. So I was just kind of rebellious in that way. But what I can say about all of this, and conversion therapy should first of all be non-existent. There's no such thing as converting anyone. If you're queer, you're queer. That's all there is to it. So the fact that you're 25, I think you're already on the road to your own freedom. I think that if you are out of your parents' house, you are allowed to do whatever you want. Your body, basically what I learned this in a meme, is that we are all ghosts driving a meat spaceship. So you are a spiritual being that lives within your own temple, your own body, your own vehicle. You have full control of that, regardless of what anybody, including your family, thinks. You are meant to be who you are. You are meant to do what makes you happy. And I say, keep going. People will have to work around you and live with the fact that you are doing what you're doing for your own personal happiness. So in my opinion, I say keep it up. If your mom can't handle glitter, try to put some on her. Maybe she'll like the glitter. And if she doesn't like it, then hey, you know what? I know you love your family, but if they can't go with you, if they're not on the same ride with you, then you're going to have to make some really tough personal decisions and maybe even try to assert yourself and speak up a little bit and say, hey, mom, dad, I know you tried it with me before, but guess what? I'm 25. I'm out of the house. I can do what I want. That's my opinion. What about you?
I couldn't possibly agree more with that. I mean, I think just as you said, we're evolving every day. We're learning every single day. And, some people I've always heard from different families like, well, when you're 18, you're out of my house. And when you're, and maybe you're 25 and you're still in someone's house or however that works. The dynamic is so different now than it was even when we were 25 years old. The expectations are different, but the expectation on yourself is the most important. It is paramount. It is more important than anything else because everybody gets to live their life. Your parents, I don't want to pronounce your name wrong, Simaj, your parents got to live their life. They can't live your life anymore. They can guide you. They can tell you, this is what we do in our household. This is how we expect things to be. But now that you're 25 or even when you were 18, it's your life. And you can't live it for them. You can take them with you, just as Raja said, or they might have to stay behind. It's an unfortunate thing, but it is a cross that you will have to bear, and it is something that you will have to decide for yourself. Do I let them live my life so they get to live one of their own, and then they get to live another person's, or because no offense to anyone, but I often think, what is the movie Hannah and Her Sisters? A quote from that movie: if God came back and saw what people were doing in his name, he'd never stop throwing up. Like, stop doing shit in the name of, well, the Bible said and the God said and da-da-da-da. No. I hate to tell everyone out there, but the Bible itself is a beautiful piece of literature and it's wonderful, but it was written at a different time and doesn't mean that it has to apply to every single person's life and you have to subscribe to it. Because if you did that, you would just be going back and forth going, well, but it says this. Yeah, but it says that. Well, but it says this. Yeah, but it says that. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Well, I grew up, mostly around monotheism. My father was a Muslim who converted to Christianity and became a minister. And my mom, grew up mostly a Christian. And so, monotheism is one of those ideas that kind of really has a lot of limitations. And, by the time I left my parents' house, which, like you were mentioning earlier, where parents are like, well, when you're 18, you're out of the house. Well, I took that to heart. I was like, okay, if that's the case, then I found my way out. I used college as a way for me to kind of get out of the house and find my way, find out who I was, find out what it is that excites me and that stimulates me and ultimately made me who I am today. But it really is about asserting. It's about you being an adult and saying to your parents, guess what? I'm an adult now. And if we are going to be adults together, I still respect my mom. I look at, she is my mom, but now we're at a point in our lives where she understands that I have my own spirituality. She respects it. She respects, she's met all of my boyfriend's husband, friends. She knows that I do drag, obviously, and I think that's where the respect comes. When I told my family that I respect them, so therefore respect me. Otherwise, hey, we're probably not going to hang out that much, because that's what it's about. There has to be a back and forth, and you can't live in fear of your family forever. Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think you also have to recognize, just as Raja said in the very beginning, all of this is really, I'm really just agreeing with Raja, because there has to be that point where you do make that decision. And sometimes you have to think about, is it time for me to get up from the table? Is it time for me to get up from the table? Because I personally, I have many family members that I disagree with politically and religiously. And, sometimes based in the fact that they will subscribe to a theory, but I don't think really immerse themselves in it. It can sometimes be, well, this is what I believe. Okay, well, why do you believe that? Because this is what I believe. I might hold more value to something if I thought you really have studied that and you really think that. But if I feel like somebody's just throwing a blanket term on something and is saying, well, I'm a Christian or I'm a Catholic and I believe this, but doesn't really investigate it, then I can't hold a lot of regard for it. But often too, Samaj, you have to realize these aren't necessarily conversations that you have with people in their home when this is what they believe. So when I go out to visit certain family members, I don't necessarily challenge them politically or whatever. If I think that it's time for me to leave because this is their home and this is how they conduct things, it's not my place to just start up an argument. Now, granted, this is family and you're talking about your mom and your dad, so it's a little bit different, but it's not always effective or safe for you to engage in those conversations when you are, in fact, in someone else's home.
Yeah. There are things that I do to respect my family's household. Like, for instance, I'm not going to show up in a thong and a pair of, 6-inch high heels with my ass out, cussing and acting crazy like I would at the club. But they know that I have a very particular way of dressing and style, and there's no way around that. That's just the way I look. And I will not be judged by it. You're going to accept it. You're going to accept the fact that I wore to Christmas dinner a pair of Jean Paul Gaultier tuxedo pants and Mugler jacket and caca and glitter on my nails. That's it.
Yes,
that's it.
I mean, Samaj, we could talk about this all day long, and we clearly have. But if anybody wants to talk about stuff like this, just write us a letter, deltaandraja@gmail.com. We hope to get to the anals with you. And with that, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. We are back with another segment of Very That with Delta and Raja. And this is probably one of people's, this sparks a lot of interest with people when we share these photos in our segment called See Something. A lot of people like us sharing stuff like this. And this picture is, we can tell where this is from, clearly. Actually, I used to have a lot of arguments about this specifically. This is at Rage. This is on a Tuesday night at Dreamgirls. And if anyone knows we have a big cast at Dreamgirls, and so we all alternate performing. So not everybody performs on the same night. But Rage was one of those locations on a Tuesday night where especially the cast members who lived in the area or weren't far, maybe they could come on foot, would just come watch a show, support the show, buy a drink. And it always helps when you are able to support the venue that you work at. And this is a picture of Raja coming to tip me while I was doing that Sue Johansson sex talk number. And the reason I say I was arguing is because I wasn't arguing with Raja. This handrail, it always used to fucking piss me off when they would not put the handrail up.
Oh,
and I would like try to look as glamorous as possible coming down, but if I couldn't see the steps, like because of the darkness of the club, I would be like, I'm gonna eat it. So I would get there early, and I'd be like, "Did you put the handrail up? I don't see a handrail down there." And they're like, "Oh, we forgot." But anyway,
God, we were so spoiled.
We were so spoiled.
Making demands. Is the handrail up for me tonight?
I will not be doing an episode of The Red Shoes tonight.
I will not go on stage.
This is you tipping me.
I wonder what year this was. I wonder if this was if it was when I was living in West Hollywood, or if this was a time when I was visiting from, no. Or is it when I was visiting from New York? At any rate, whatever. I am tipping Delta. This brings up the conversation of tipping, which I miss so much. I miss performing. I miss being in a nightclub and having that whole moment, because a lot of what I do as a performer, and that has made my career the career that it is today, is my ability to grab money from a crowd. Which makes it sometimes difficult when I'm performing in places like the UK or Australia, where they don't have dollar bills and they have heavy coins instead that are a dollar. But in those places, they do tip also now. They're like, well, they do it in America, and these girls are used to it, so we might as well give them one of our $5 bills instead.
Nice.
So, but I miss tipping a lot. I miss performing. I miss tipping my girls. I miss making it rain on my friends as they perform. And it's just, it's just nice to support. It's nice to support your girls. And I love watching a drag show. In fact, most times I enjoy watching the show more than I like being in it, because I like to be entertained. I love showbiz. I love drag. I love drag queens. I love watching my friends. I love being entertained. And I will go to the bar and ask for all singles, at least $40 to $60 if I have it, and just make it rain on my girls.
I love that. I also love, what I loved about this venue is that if you wanted to come, if you were a cast member of the show, essentially, or a very, very close friend of the Dreamgirls family, you could be up in the balcony where no one would really see you, and you could sit and enjoy your drink and watch the show, and that was really fun. But if you were wanted to be downstairs as well in the regular with everyone, you could do that. So we were afforded a lot of opportunity in that space. It was a great space for us as a cast, because we could really showcase our themes and all that stuff. And I always hold it as such a special place in my heart, what we could do there. Now, of course, there was this, that, or the other, but regardless.
Now, what about when people would come tip you during the performance, and they're like, a girl would come up and she'd be like, I'm gonna tip you, but then she sticks a full dirty dollar bill in her mouth, and then she expects you. It's usually a girl that does it. I haven't. Well, guys do it too.
No, it's a girl.
Usually it's a girl, and they stick a dollar bill in their mouth, and then they want you to reach in and get the dollar with your teeth and bring your face close to theirs to pick a disgusting, dirty dollar bills are gross.
Right. I never understood that.
Money is gross.
And always the holding the carrot, like, oh, here's the dog. Oh, no.
Just kidding.
Come get it. Come work for it. You're not working hard enough for my dollar. Don't you want it? And then if you don't, or putting it over their friend's head, come embarrass my friend, because we came here to watch. We want you to come here as an oaf and embarrass everybody. Like, we thought isn't that what you do? Isn't Isn't that what you do? This isn't art. Stupid. No, this is you coming here. We want to embarrass you.
This is an art.
Let me embarrass you. Come on. Or don't you want to be humiliated? You want $1, don't you? Don't you want a whole $1? Well, let me embarrass you for it. And I want you to embarrass my friends so they'll never come back. And they'll tell people, I went to a gay bar and this drag queen humiliated me. And that's why I don't like gay people. The fuck?
I've seen videos where people people will come up and drunk people will come up on stage and try to do the performance with you or like lip sync the number with you. And you're like, can you please get off the fucking stage? Get out of my way.
Yeah, there's a famous video of the princess from Drag Race like pulling a girl off the stage that was like, and I get it because it's true, everybody's drinking, you're having a good time, and I want people to have a good time, and I want people to play with me, and when I play with them and stuff like that. But when they turn it into something else is where it becomes an issue, and like, or if you're, a lot of times like a lot of my numbers have like talking in them, little mixes where it's like silly whatever, and you're delivering it, and then there's people that are like, say something else, and then what happened? Oh yes, bitch, kill it, bitch, and it's like, now no one can hear the number, and now I look even stupider because they didn't get the context of anything that was happening here, and you just turned it into. And this isn't other queens that are just doing this. This isn't other. It's usually not even another homosexual. It's other guests that come in and they want it to be. This queer space is my space now.
Yeah, look at me. I can do it too. I'm going to get on stage. I'm just like, yeah, fuck that. I miss so much being on stage. I miss receiving tips. I miss all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a different time. I mean, and we keep saying like, well, next year when it's, we don't know. We don't know what's happening in 100 days from now, in 5 days from now. Is Santa really coming? Is Santa for real? I mean, wow. Santa.
You know what I can say is, there's so many shows now that are online, and a lot of the shows are queens who are not of Drag Race fame.
Right.
And they're not getting the endorsements to, paid partnerships and stuff, and they're still working their asses off. If I can encourage anyone that is listening right now to go and support those queens, all they're asking is for just a couple bucks, and it's a collective. So if more people watch and everybody gets paid, support your local queens. And if this were a different time and we were not in a pandemic and we were all allowed to go to a nightclub to go watch a queen perform or go to a drag brunch and really live it up, support your local queens, because eventually you never know, they might get on TV, they might not, but ultimately there's a huge group of us who are local, who work very, very hard, and a lot of people who deserve your support and love. So be sure to support all of your local queens, especially in this time. If you got it, help them out, because it's not an easy job in these times.
They work hard for the money, and you better treat them right.
So for honey, she was all the honey, and I treat her right.
And if you want to see these photos, you can go to the M.O.M podcast account on Instagram, where all of these photos are uploaded, and you can see them for yourself. So if you're not, watching the podcast on YouTube, which you can watch it on YouTube, but if you're not watching it and you're listening to it and you just want to see the picture, you can check them out. The M.O.M podcast Instagram account.
Yes. And also our own personal Instagrams. Mine is Sutan Amrol. Delta's is Delta Work.
And we post them there sometimes.
Yes,
not all the time. I'm not going to guarantee you anything, but I can guarantee you it's going to be on the M.O.M podcast Instagram. Mine might have it, or I might just have, I don't know, what I've been posting recently, which is I've decided that since I don't have anything else to do, I just post once a day my favorite Christmas song of the day. That's it. That's real content. That's the content people really, really need right now. They need an album cover. They need a Carpenter's album cover, and they need to go, so you like to sing to that song, Delta. Wow, that really has changed my life to know that you are.
Maybe I'll listen to that gives me a good idea. Maybe I want to listen to the Carpenters Christmas today.
The Carpenters Christmas is no joke. It's
I love
everything.
the Carpenters. Like if
Everything.
I had a naturally beautiful singing voice, and if I were if I were Ursula and I were to steal Ariel's voice, I would steal Karen Carpenter's voice. That voice is it is velvety and rich and beautiful. I need to listen to some Christmas music and just Carpenters. Yes,
listen to that. We'll also listen to the Linda Eder Christmas album. That's always a great one.
Ooh.
I have so many. I mean, I love it. So I'm gonna have to give you a list. But anyway, that is See Something. And so if you guys actually, I say this sometimes, and I don't know that we've ever received any, but if you happen to have vintage pictures of us that you think that maybe we haven't seen or we should see, I think you can send those over to that email, deltaandraja@gmail.com, and maybe it'll show up on the See Something, because eventually we're gonna need some of what you have in your anals.
We're gonna run out. I mean, I've been getting stoned real late at night and going through all my albums, and I found a small stack, and I'm gonna have to load those up and
load
it. Yeah,
hey, load that shit, bitch.
Load it.
And don't forget, the M.O.M holiday special is coming out this week on December 16th. So check that out wherever you listen to podcasts. And of course, if you have Forever Dog Plus, you can get that a day before. So that's a little Christmas gift for you. And we will be back next week with another installment of Very That with Delta and Raja.
Yep. Just search for Very That with Delta and Raja on your favorite podcast app, however way you listen to podcasts, or you can also watch us on YouTube. So we love you so much. Happy holidays to everybody. Be safe out there. Wear a fucking mask. Don't breathe on people. Don't beat people up, trying to shop for things. Don't stress yourself out this holiday season. And we love you very much. And thanks for listening.
Beat it up.
Load it up.
Beat it up. Beat up
Load it up.
Christmas.
And beat it up.
Oh, not load it up and beat it up.
Yeah, you know
and
me.
Seal it up.
Very
done.
Quack, quack.
Forever Dog.
To listen to Very That ad-free, sign up for Forever Dog Plus at foreverdogpodcast.com/plus.
Very That is produced by Forever Dog and Moguls of Media, aka M.O.M.
Hosted by Delta Work and Raja.
Music, sound design, and editing by Will Pitts.
Produced by Big Dipper.
Executive produced by Willem Belli, Alaska Thunderfuck, Brett Boehm, Joe Cilio, and Alex Ramsey.